Hi, I'm David Marks. I have a school in Santa Rosa, California, where I teach furniture making and several other types of classes. Now, I'd like to show you some pictures of my furniture and explain a little bit about how these are put together. This is a dining table that I was commissioned to build back in the early 90s. The base is out of Wenge, and it consists of about 14 staves coopered together, and the top is made out of quilted maple. The quilted maple is a bandsawn veneer that I resawed myself on my bandsaw, and then I made a frame out of Wenge to hold all that top together. This is a photograph of the top. Now, the table actually opens up and extends from 6 feet to 9 feet by accepting 2 leaves that are 18 inches wide. I did an inlay into the top out of ebony. My concept for the inlay was to look like branches in wintertime where the leaves had fallen off. One funny comment that I received from a woman that looked at the photographs was, "That table is really beautiful, but isn't there any way that you can fix that crack in it?" Well, I didn't have the heart to tell her that that's not a crack, that's an intentional inlay that was all carefully fitted into the top out of solid ebony. This is a chair that I did back in the early 90s, and I call this one the Scarab chair. It's made out of Wenge and maple and inlaid with walrus tusk ivory. The arm is a compound bentwood lamination, so it consists of many layers of maple and Wenge that I resawed on the bandsaw. I got the pieces down to a thinness of about 1/16 of an inch, and then I made a form, and I bent those and glued and clamped those to the form. The seats are all hand carved. Notice the contrasting laminations of the maple and the Wenge. This really added to the feel of the piece. Now, for the inlay, the Scarab beetle, this is something that I did out of walrus tusk ivory, and this is what I would call a proud inlay. It's set into the back of the chair 1/8 of an inch deep, but it's also proud from the back of the chair about 1/8 of an inch. I had to lay out a pattern, cut these out on a scroll saw, and then inlay these one at a time into the back of the chair, but I couldn't glue them in until I had routed out all the recesses. Then I glued them in, and then after the glue had set, I came back and worked these with a file and some carving tools to put some detail into the ivory. I'm also well known for doing hollow vessels, which I turn on the lathe and then come back and gild with various metals like silver and do patinas on those. And I've had a number of these that I've had in various shows, and I've won awards for these pieces. This one has an ebony rim at the top. It's turned out of some figured walnut, and then I've gilded it with silver and treated it with chemicals to make a nice sort of a blue patina on the surface. This was one of my most challenging commissions. I did this back in 1990, and it was commissioned to go into a home up in the Oakland Hills. Now, what was difficult about this piece is that the room is 14 feet long by 14 feet deep, and the walls are elliptical. Now, the floor and the Wenge elliptical banding had to match and conform to the shapes of the walls. This is all a bandsawn veneer, which I inlaid up in my shop in Santa Rosa, California, and then I took the 6 panels down to the home and installed them in place. Now, one of the spectacular things about this floor is the centerpiece. The centerpiece has an 8-pointed star, and it's all made out of Burmese padauk. Surrounding that is a field of maple. I started out with planks of wood that were a full 2 inches thick, and I resawed these into bandsawn veneers on my bandsaw that measured out at 1/8 of an inch thick. The value of this is the grain matching. Take a look at the way the colors seem to explode from the centerpiece. You can see how all the grain radiates out from that very center. Around that are various flowers that I've inlaid out of bird's eye maple, purple heart, olive wood, and Wenge, and some other woods to give it a very nice sort of an Asian effect. Here's a close-up of some of the details of the flowers. You can see the bird's eye maple leaves, the purple heart buds in the center, with some other Wenge details, and then there's also some lines that I engraved in there, and I used woods like ebony to fill in some of those black lines. And on some of the very small details, I got in there and carved those out with a knife, and then sealed it with shellac, and then filled that in with some epoxy with a black dye to get those nice fine pointed lines. Now this was another challenging commission. This one I built back in 1987, and this one won Best of Show at the Sonoma County Museum for the Artistry and Wood Show back then. This one is also coopered. It's made out of Burmese Padauk, and one of the challenging pieces on this was doing the joinery. There's two stretchers that pierce through the columns, and they have wedges out of Brazilian rosewood that are going through those mortises and locking those columns to the stretchers. On the top is a glass top, and I've done a continuous strip lamination that goes all the way around the top. I also have a DVD on this called Jigs and Fixtures for Curvilinear Woodworking, which is available at our website, djmarks.com. This last one contains no wood at all. Now, I actually started out by making one out of wood, but then I took the wooden model and took it to a foundry and had this one cast in bronze. This particular piece won a niche award in 2001. This is all solid bronze. The pyramid bases at the bottom are hollow, but even still, the walls are about 1/4 of an inch thick, and the piece weighs about 80 pounds. It's a beautiful piece. I've probably made about 8 of these, and these can sit outdoors. We've got one sitting at home in our garden, and I've done a blue-green patina on the bases and a nice sort of a transparent bronze patina on the seat. It's a very lovely piece, and my wife and I enjoy this quite a bit. I would welcome you to come to our website, djmarks.com. If you're interested in a class, by all means contact us. Thanks for watching. My name is David Marks.